Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Sunday. It is the 27th day of February, 2022. I hope you are enjoying your weekend and that you and your household, are healthy and safe today. Blessings upon those that are working in the healthcare field and those that are the first responders, trying every day, putting forth all their effort to save lives. Blessings upon those that pick up garbage to keep our streets, sidewalks, and highways clean. Blessings also upon those that make deliveries for our convenience, both in places like supermarkets and delis, and like days like today on the weekend when we just don't want to cook and they deliver stuff for us for mostly tips. Remember them. Double blessings on the men and women trying to help deliver and rescue the victims of child molestation and pedophilia, the victims of prostitution and child prostitution, the victims of pornography and child pornography, the victims of sex slavery and human trafficking, and double curses upon the perpetrators, the profiteers, and the perverts who exploit these human beings and traffic in misery. Finally, blessings upon the homeless, nearly 600,000 men, women, and most importantly, children that are on the streets of the United States and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom, and on those whose hearts is there to even a small way to help. So there was a basketball game last Friday. And the thing is that one of the conclusions that it's not just me, a lot of Knicks Nation is coming to this conclusion at this point. I can't say I'm unique in this, but I'm feeling like we wasted this season. I expected the Knicks to do a lot better. As I said at the beginning, I expected a 50-win season. I expected a top 6 seed in the East. And with the frustrating thing, and like I said, I think I'm talking for a lot of us, is you can see we have the talent to have accomplished those things. But one of the biggest issues, now, there's enough blame to go around. Leon should not have signed Kemba Walker. He should not have brought Evan Fournier in at that high price. I understand looking back, I don't like to play Monday morning quarterback. Too many people do that and I hate it. I hate it because they're acting like at the time they would have made X decision when they wouldn't have. I could understand the Fournier decision because they were losing in Alec Burks. So they wanted an upgrade offensively. And I can understand that. But the 3 years and $54 million that's guaranteed. Well, now after this year, it's going to be 2 years, $36 million guaranteed on Fournier. As we can see now that we have a Cam Reddish and we have a Quentin Grimes along with an RJ, it's a logjam at that position. And I think the biggest issue looking back, and again, I'm blaming Leon for the Kemba signing, but not for the Fournier so much. And the reason is, again, because looking back on it, they had to make a decision on Reggie Bullock. Now, of course, Thibodeau really liked Reggie Bullock. And Reggie Bullock defense is miles ahead of Evan Fournier. But Reggie Bullock will never give you a 41-point game. He would never do that. So I could understand the logic behind that move. The problem, of course, is that Fournier, as good as he's been shooting the ball, and I got to give him credit, he's been shooting very well. He's been more of a negative because of the lack of high level defense. Not that he doesn't try. He's not one of these guys all the time. He has had his time when he doesn't try, but I've noticed most of the season he's put forth an honest effort on the defensive end. He just doesn't have the talent defensively to keep up with NBA players. That has hurt the Knicks defensively. See, the thing is, part of the reason I predicted a 50-win season and a 6 seed was I expected the same level of defense the Knicks played last year. I expected that as a rock bottom minimum, that you were going to get at least the same level of defense that you got last year. And why would I say that? Because you were going to have Tom Thibodeau still as your coach, and he is known to be a defensive coach. When you start seeing the Knicks play terrible defense, and he's been saying this all year, we got to fix the defense, but he's done nothing to fix it. Okay. There's a lot of issues. We can go into a million issues, but to me, that's the main thing. You have to, if you come with defense every night, you're in every game. Okay. And you ain't got to worry about squandering 28-point leads if you're playing lockdown defense. So that's problem number one. And that's on the coach now. You got to come with some defense. Now, he was playing Fournier and Kemba. There's different philosophy as to why, especially for me. Never heard anything, official, but I assumed it's because of the contract and because Leon signed them. But that didn't work out. Okay. That did not work out. On the coach, though, there's been no adjustments to make sure his defense is shored up. That's been on Thibodeau. There's been now I can see, if he was an offensive coach, if he was Mike D'Antoni, right? And you expect certain things from certain coaches. Now, Mike D'Antoni, you expect you to have a high scoring offensive team. You're not going to play the greatest defense. You're going to be a point guard oriented offense. It's going to be spread. You're going to see a lot of threes. And so if you see Mike D'Antoni's team not play defense, you're not surprised. But if you see them not scoring, let's say it was a Mike D'Antoni team and it was only scoring 90 points a game, there's a problem. Well, it's just like that, but it's a different situation. It's a different focus with Thibs. You see a Thibs coach team giving up 108, 110, 115 points a game. That's a major problem. That's a major problem to me. Okay. And then we all know that he likes a tight rotation, but he has made very few adjustments, if any, to his rotation. Friday was a typical situation. So Friday, the Knicks started off, they ended the first quarter up 2. Miami went on a run in the second quarter. They ended up the second quarter up 10 or 11. 10, I think it was. Then the third quarter, the Knicks played actually better than they usually play in the third quarter. And that was due to R.J. Barrett. If Barrett wasn't getting 46 points on Friday night, okay, if he wasn't getting 46 points on Friday night, the Knicks would have got blown out. They would have got blown out. I started hearing a smattering of boos during the course of the game, but Barrett's exploits quelled that because everybody was excited to see him go off. I mean, we was already talking about this before the All-Star break. It's Barrett's team now. The offense is going to come through him, okay? And it needs to. But the lack of ability to get stops when you need it is a sign of a bad team. Either a young team that's bad or just a plain bad team. Okay, you got to get stops when you need them. They have all season. The Knicks have not been able to get stops. If you remember, both last year and the beginning of this year, one of the things I told you I look at, how many times do you get 3 straight stops? Because even when you're down, if you can get 3 straight stops, you can start a run. Okay, that's why defense is so important. It's very rare this year. The Knicks have put together strings of 3 stops. Last year, they would put together strings of 3 stops multiple times in the game, sometimes 5 or 7 stops in the game. And that's when they'd be, at their peak. And then even offensively being limited, they would still make runs. They hardly do that this year. It's hardly happening. Okay. That's a major problem. That's on Thibodeau. Okay. I got to say that's on Thibodeau. You can't come in with a defensive reputation and not have your team playing defense. I'm sorry. You can't do it. Okay. Now, one of the things that stood out to me Friday, which again, this is not just me. I know a lot of Knicks, I know a lot of y'all feeling the same way. And this kind of sums it up. I saw the press conference. I saw it last night after I reviewed the game last night, and I saw the press conference. I think it was after Saturday's practice. And somebody finally asked him, you have Derrick Rose out. Kemba's no longer. Is Deuce McBride going to get any minutes? And Thibs' answer, this is where, again, stubbornness crossed into stupid. And he said, well, we have Alec Burks and we have Quick. But then they said, well, what about McBride? And he said, well, he'll get in there. Alec Burks is not a point guard. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I like Emmanuel Quickly. He is not a point guard. Yesterday, there were two plays that were indicative of what I mean and what a lot of us mean in Knicks Nation when we say he's playing out of position at point guard. There was one coming down the floor. Obi was open. He didn't even look at him to see him. There was, I don't know who else, there was another player open for a good shot. He didn't even look at him to see him. He was looking for his shot. Now, after that sequence, they turned the ball over. Coming back on the other side, Obi looked at him and went like this, which means like, I want you to lob it to me when I'm open, because he went like this. That was one sequence. Second sequence, and this is basketball one-on-one, and I'm not saying I'm an expert, but tell me if I'm wrong. When they're playing zone against you in the NBA, what do you want to do? You want to get the ball in the middle to the post. That's what you want to do. And let the post guy cause the defense to collapse. Or you want to break the defense down off the dribble and get into the middle of it, causing it to collapse. So they threw a zone at the Knicks. You had Obi, and I think it was Julius. There were two guys that were both posting at the pinch post on both sides of the foul line. He should have thrown them the ball. Instead, he's looking to use them as picks to shoot. That's a shooter's mentality. That's not a point guard. Okay. And I saw that if he'd have passed it, I think it was Randall. There was somebody on the corner running back door. They could have got a nice backdoor play right there. And instead, they get another bad shot. So it's frustrating to see Thibs insist that we're playing positionless ball. That echoes a bad omen. You know who else used to run that game on us? Fizdale. Remember, he was talking about playing Kevin Knox at the 2 guard. This positionless, he kept saying. Thibs is talking the same thing. And when it comes to point guards in the NBA, brother and sister, it's not positionless. RJ Barrett at stretches yesterday ran the point and he can't run it. You need a guy that can set up the offense. For the 2 minutes that Deuce McBride was in the game, you saw him find open players. They didn't always score, but you saw him find open players on the floor for good shots. Just in the 2 minutes he was in the game. Not to mention his lockdown defense. You saw that. I saw that in 2 minutes. He was +4 in his 2 minutes. He got 1 assist, but you could see he knows how to run an offense. Okay, he does. I knew that when he was at West Virginia. All right. But it was proven, again, aside from his G League exploits. 2 minutes. And I'm really telling y'all that Friday night was indicative that if he had played a real point guard, we might have won the game. Burks was getting done. I mean, Lowry went right at him. Lowry's like 5'11". And Burks is like 6'6". Lowry went right at him. And I was like, wait. I thought the whole point of putting him out there at the point guard was his size. It was negated. It was negated. Now, Lowry ended up with 19 points. 4 of 11, 2 of 3 from the 3, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. That's a typical Lowry game. Okay. Now, here's RJ dealing with Jimmy Butler. And it was so interesting watching. That was to me the most interesting part of the game. Watching Lowry and Butler. RJ and Butler go at it. Should I say now Star J? Watching him and Butler go at it was very cool. Butler ended up with 23. He was 9 of 20. Now, he caught RJ in a low block a couple of times, caught him and did a jab step, go by you thing. But of course, RJ had 46. So it wasn't like he was getting locked down by Butler either. But the thing I liked, if you watched that matchup, whenever Butler got the ball on the 3-point line, RJ wasn't going out to him because you know why? Because Butler can't shoot 3-pointers. RJ can. That's why I kept saying I'm telling y'all, RJ is going to be a better version of Jimmy Butler. RJ still does 21. All right. So that was really cool to watch. And I was watching them next to each other, and I said, nah, there's Jimmy Butler and there's his heir apparent right next to him. And they were going at it. Like, okay, so RJ ended up shooting 13 of 22, 6 of 11 from 3. Now, of course, we all could see, and he himself admitted, he shot the ball horrible from the free throw line. And he knows he has to improve that. He'd have had a 50 piece. Easy. If he'd shot some free throws at an NBA level. But okay, but I'm not worried about RJ at all. And anything. He's gonna be fine. I keep telling you, some of y'all, I'm not sold on RJ Barrett. Some of y'all just, get some of these, man, and clean them so you can see. This kid's a star coming. Okay? The IQ, the attack mode, and now the jump shot coming. Some fool, I forgot who this knucklehead was, talking about RJ Barrett can't shoot. Like, what? Anyway, that was the highlight of the game. That's what stopped the Boo Birds from coming out strong. I told y'all now, before the All-Star break. I said Thibs gonna have 5 games with this madness. And then you're gonna hear Mount Dolan erupt. Now we're down to 3. Okay, we done blew 28 points against Brooklyn. Here we lost. We were outclassed by Miami because of a lack of a point guard, in my opinion. I mean, Julius Randle was 2 of 15. 8 assists, 8 rebounds. Of course, he did some really stupid turnovers, but I don't think, it did hurt us in the third and fourth quarter. I ain't gonna front. It did hurt us in the third. He did some dumb behind turnovers, man. But we could have still won the game. There was a point where it was real close. I think 2 or 3 points. We could have won the game. We needed stops, and we needed a point guard. That's what we needed. And we have one. He's just not playing. And because our coach thinks we're playing positionless, we're having a problem. I'm sticking to what I told y'all, though. 3 more games like this, Deuce McBride is going to be the starting point guard. And you know what? I told y'all a few weeks ago. If they do that, you're going to see the best coaching Tom Thibodeau could do. Because he don't know how to adjust, obviously. But if you put Deuce McBride there and run him to the ground, you're going to get some results. Okay? You're going to get results. Now, Grimes, he tweaked his knee. Now, I can't blame Thibodeau for that. It's not like he's been running Grimes into the ground. I wish he would play him more even. But that was just a thing that happens in the NBA. Sometimes you get hurt. I'm just glad it's a patella tendon. Apparently that's below your kneecap. So they're going to reevaluate him in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, it's a different scene here than we're seeing now. Then, of course, we know. And this is, again, I like Tom Thibodeau, but he's losing me. And this is another thing that he loses me with. Don't be dishonest, man. If you don't want to answer a question, don't answer it. But don't be dishonest. They asked him about Derrick Rose. He's fine. Oh, he practiced great. He's fine. And now we find out he needs another surgery. Apparently, it's a skin infection or something to do with the first surgery. Those things could be dangerous. You know what? That's a function of coming back too quick, too. So he's going to be out at least, they said, a week to 2 weeks. Let's call it 10 days. That's going into not just this coming week's games, but next week's games. Okay? It's a different season by then. We got a home and home against Philly. And Philly's playing ball right now. Okay, Philly's playing ball right now. I mean, and the thing is that if it's like saying, if you have Alec Burks out there, and look, let's be honest, man. Quickly's defense has sucked this year. Not his shooting. His defense has sucked this year. People have been doing him left and right like he was a $5 working girl, man. I mean, I'm serious. It's crazy. Okay, so between him and look, with him, it's, obviously he got complete support by Thibodeau. He could do no wrong, but he's out of position. He needs to be out there with a point guard. Okay, period. He's out of position. When it's him, Derrick Rose, Alec Burks, Obi Toppin, and usually it has been either Nerlens Noel or Taj, but one of the good news is we saw Jericho Sims playing some good minutes yesterday. But Friday night, but he plays a lot better, when he's next to a point guard. He is not the point guard. Okay. He's like the spoiled grandchild right now. And it's not good for him. It's not good for him. Now looking at Philly, they had won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight. They rolling. Okay. Harden is matched up well with Embiid. And he's matched up well with Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey, who has been getting minutes as a rookie point guard from last year with Doc Rivers. Matisse Thybulle, who's getting rookie minutes also under Doc Rivers and has already been all NBA defense. Now, that brings me to a part of the show that you're going to see the thumbnail. The part of the show today. Look, I don't like dealing in rumors. Y'all should know that by now. Some of y'all come at me, what about this, what about that? Don't talk to me about players under contract with other teams because they're not available. This is not NBA 2K. All right? They're not available. And y'all be like, what if we got so-and-so? What if we went out and got so-and-so? You can't, it's not bread on a shelf that you just pick. When a player is under contract though, and they want to force their way out, that is different. A la Carmelo Anthony, right? When they're in Denver and they don't want to be in Denver anymore. Or Ben Simmons, they're in Philly and they don't want to be in Philly anymore. And they make that known. Now you're dealing with something different. So there was an article in the New York Newsday. Now, of the 3 New York papers, back in the time when we used to actually read the newspapers, I don't know if they do that anymore. Everything's online now. But between Daily News, New York Post, and Newsday, Post was always the most entertaining because they come up with the most crap and the most, it was almost like the sports version of Star Magazine, right? Daily News was more like working man, working class type of thing, and so, but it was all right. But I didn't like their writers too much either. Matter of fact, I don't even know the guy's name anymore, and I'm glad I forgot it. But there's some dude, Asola. That's right. He used to write for them. I ain't like his writing style. But Newsday was always, of those 3, in my opinion, the most believable. Not that, again, not saying much, but that's what I was saying. So in Newsday, Steve Popper, who is not always also a guy he's always been a Nick hater. But this is what he wrote. New York Knicks executive William Wesley is gearing up to make a trade offer for Utah Jazz star Donovan Mitchell, according to Newsday's Steve Popper. This was in the Bleacher Report. Some baby named Aaron Walsh wrote it, but then here's what Popper wrote. According to the same person who pointed to Wesley's criticism of Thibodeau, Wesley has been selling his plan, one that eventually will land Utah's Donovan Mitchell, a New York native. But this is not schmoozing a high school player or steering him to a college of choice, and is not so simple, even if relationships are in place. Rose served as a former agent for Mitchell, and the front office also inserted Johnny Bryant as associate head coach after Bryant served as an assistant in Utah. Now, to me, this is a bit more significant because the Bryant move is important because Johnny Bryant, I've read already before this, is close to Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell really leaned on him as coaching him when he was in Utah. Not that he didn't like the head coach Snyder. Snyder's a good head coach, but he really liked Johnny Bryant. So you bring Johnny Bryant on and you give him the title, not of assistant coach now. That's not Johnny Bryant's title. I was amazed when I first heard it, when I first saw it, and I knew that something was set up as a default. Associate head coach is Johnny Bryant's title. Now, the important thing about that is the title itself, because Thibs, according to Mark Berman, does not listen or ask advice of his assistant coaches. Okay? He does what he want to do and don't even ask them what they think. So you combine those two things, and going back to 2020, I remember there was beef. If some of y'all remember, there was beef between Mitchell and Gobert. because Gobert didn't believe that there was really a COVID and he started purposely breathing or acting like he was coughing on people. And one of the people he did to was Donovan Mitchell, who got sick after that. And then that COVID spread throughout the Jazz team. And Mitchell reportedly was really ticked off at Gobert. Apparently they were so angry that he didn't talk to him for a minute. I also read this year where there's still some schism between them two. Okay. If they were to do that, it would happen over the summer. And then, and Utah has been, talk about purgatory. That's where Utah has been, in purgatory for a long time. So they get to the top of the West and lose in the first or second round. Okay. They got a really good team, but they can never get over the top. Okay. So that will cause a guy like Donovan Mitchell to he could go either the Dame Lillard route and say, I'm loyal to my team and I like staying here and I'm going to stay here. Or B, get me out of here before my prime years are wasted. Apparently, at age 25, Mitchell is opting for plan B. That would be a game changer in New York. Now, the thing about Donovan Mitchell, he plays both sides of the basketball. He's a shooting guard, though. He's not a point guard. Now, you could play him at point guard, but if you notice, Utah went and got Mike Conley as the point guard. That was not by accident. They did it and they re-signed him because Donovan, the Spider, needs a point guard next to him. He's 6'1", the Spider. He's small, but you could see he built like a linebacker, right? Speaking of football, we got a point guard that's tough like a linebacker and was a quarterback. Anyway, to get Donovan Mitchell, who's making $28 million this year, you need to send back something like $28 million. I think he's getting more next year, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he's getting more than that next year. I think he's getting $28 million this year. But I think next year he's more like $30 million. Let me just double check that so I'm not lying to y'all. Let me double check that. I'll tell you right now. But so you're gonna have to send something in the neighborhood of $30 million out for Donovan Mitchell. Yeah, he starts. He's on a $163 million contract. He's on a $163 million contract. So next year he is making $30.3 million. Okay. You're going to have to send out $30 million to get him. So there are only a couple of options for the Knicks. There's Julius Randle. There's Evan Fournier. Those are your two big options. They got Rudy Gobert. So I don't know if they're going to want to do a sign and trade for Mitchell Robinson. But those other two guys could go. Now, let's talk in terms of general parameters. I don't know what specific players. I know the money has to match. And the biggest salaries the New York Knicks have are Julius Randle and Evan Fournier right now. Okay? I don't think both of them will go, but one of them will definitely go. Okay? If you're Utah, you got to think of it from Utah's perspective. You're Utah. You're going to lose Donovan Mitchell. He wants out. And you're going to accommodate him. You're going to trade him to the New York Knicks. What do you want for Donovan Mitchell? An all-NBA player at age 25. Okay, so I'm asking for RJ Barrett. I'm not saying that the Knicks would trade him, but I'm asking for RJ Barrett. I'm asking for Quentin Grimes. I'm asking for either Obi Toppin or Emmanuel Quickley. I'm asking for them. I want them. Right? I want first round picks. I want your Dallas pick. I want your own pick. And of course, we got to have the salaries match. So you got to send me a couple of players that make the salaries match. So you could send there's several. The Knicks have a lot of 2-year contracts that's expiring next year. You could send Alec Burks out there, 10 million. You could send Nerlens Noel out there, 10 million. You can make the salaries match with your Evan Fournier. That's just for the matching salaries. But they're going to want picks. They're going to want young talent. I can't tell you who the Knicks are going to send out there. The only player I know they are not sending is RJ Barrett. He is not going anywhere. Everybody else is going to be on the table. Everybody else. RJ is the only guy that's not on the table. Okay? They're not going to say no if Utah says we need Quentin Grimes and we need Emmanuel Quickly. The Knicks are not going to say no. I wouldn't want them to say yes to that, but they're not going to say no to that. It'll take about 2 first-rounders, 2 young players, and then salaries to get that to work. But the Knicks will be a really good team. Not only that, if they did do this, watch for Thibodeau's job. Now it all makes sense that William Wesley's talking about it's Thibodeau's fault and that they brought in Johnny Bryant. Now it all makes sense. Because if they do this, Johnny Bryant's going to be the head coach. If they did that. Now this is a whole bunch of ifs, y'all. But I feel like this particular smoke might lead to fire. Only because I've watched a couple of Utah games, and you tell me what you think. I've watched a couple of games, and while Donovan Mitchell's trying to win, there's something cold about him. He's not as warm as he was, especially with him and Gobert. There's something there. Not everybody's into the clean, fresh air mountains of Utah. Not everybody is. So, maybe he wants to come home. That's possible. I think this of all the rumors I've heard so far, this is the one that makes the most sense. The Cat rumors, I don't like the Cat rumors. I think he's happy with the team that they have in Minnesota, especially playing with Anthony Edwards, a budding superstar. Anthony Edwards is your next John Morant type superstar coming up there. And so you got him, you got D'Angelo Russell, you got a squad. And, they just really a center or power forward away, a serious, a center or power forward. That be, so you get somebody like that with Minnesota's team, they're going to be, a contender. But the Donovan Mitchell thing smells, tastes like that might be something to look at this summer. So we're going to see what happens. Like I said, they're going to want multiple firsts, a couple of young players, and then they need the salaries. That's generally, when you look at deals like this, like the Anthony Davis deal, the Carmelo Anthony deal, the Paul George deal. When you see deals like this, the Chris Paul deal, when you see deals like this, that's generally the package. It's not like unusual for me to say a couple of firsts, 2 or 3 firsts, some young players, and make the money work. That's what you're dealing with. And like I said, the 2 highest salaries on the Knicks, are Julius Randle and Evan Fournier. Those are the 2 biggest salaries the Knicks have. One of those guys would be the candidate to go. You add that guy, and you're going to add with him, like I said, it'll probably be an Alec Burks who was drafted by Utah. So it'll probably be an Alec Burks who I wouldn't mind seeing going anyway, because he's in the way of Deuce. And so I think that's a possibility. It's going to be interesting to see, though. I'm telling you, I don't know how it's going to turn out. I think if Donovan Mitchell is pushing for it, it's going to happen. And it really is the ball is in his court. See, the NBA right now is a players' league. Over the last 30 years, the NBA union has really done a good job getting the players more power. Aside from baseball, the players have more power in NBA than any sport. Baseball, I think the players have even more power. But in basketball, the players are now getting a lot of power right now. And so a guy under contract, you've seen it. You've seen Paul George under contract be moved. You've seen Harden under contract be moved. You've seen Simmons under contract be moved. You've seen Carmelo Anthony under contract be moved. You've seen Anthony Davis be moved. So being under contract is important if the player is happy. If the player is not happy, they can be moved. And so I think you're going to, if it's all on Donovan Mitchell's court. I don't know how serious he is about leaving, but it sounds like it's a possibility he's unhappy and wants to leave. If Donovan Mitchell was in the East, he'd be a perennial all-star, a perennial all-NBA player. He'd be the deal if he was in the East. Okay. So, this is going to be interesting to watch. That's the big news to me. Next big news is the Knicks. If Thibodeau keeps trotting out that same crew, they're going to do the same thing. I'm not crazy no more, right? I'm not going with the insanity. If he keeps trotting out that same starting unit with Alec Burks instead of Kemba and telling everybody that IQ is a point guard, we are going to keep losing. Okay. And if they lose these next three, Deuce McBride is starting at point guard. You watch. He's going to be starting at point guard. Okay. And then we might do something better. Of course, it'd probably be too late, but we could do something better. And this would be on Thibs. This would be on him. I ain't front. Okay. The lack of defense. Like I said, if the Knicks were playing that high quality number one ranked defense in the NBA this year, I wouldn't be complaining about this. I'd be whining a little bit, but I wouldn't be complaining because the defense is tight. The defense sucks. They can't get a stop when they need to. The offense is inconsistent. The only bright spot we see right now in that rotation is RJ Barrett. That's it. Quentin Grimes was coming on, but now he's hurt. Okay. So, and I'm telling y'all, if you give Cam Reddish 30 minutes a game, this kid is talented. Only thing, like I said, I don't know about him is his injury proneness. If he's real injury prone, I don't know. Like I was hoping, like I bring up Frank Ntilikina because that's what to me sunk him. He was too injury prone. The times he had to show that he could show out, it wasn't the lack of the jump shot. He would get his chances and pull some. You gotta be available, man. You gotta be available. So this is with Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish is a very talented young man. If this kid can stay healthy and get minutes, we got one. I'm trying to tell y'all we got one. Just a few minutes, him and RJ was on the court together. Man. And he plays good defense. He's got the length. And you let him get a rhythm. He's the type of guy that will drop 40 on you also. I believe that. So it's very interesting to see what's going to happen this summer. It's very interesting to see what's going to happen after these next 3 games because you got Philly, and Phoenix. All of them playing playoff style ball right now. Okay? You can't come in there half-stepping with no point guard. So anyway, we're going to see what happens. It's today at 1 o'clock, Philly. But the big news to me is this Donovan Mitchell possibility. That's the big news. The Donovan Mitchell possibility is big. So we're going to see how this works out. This is going to be interesting to see. And I know there's a tug of war going on in the front office. You see what the article said? It said Wesley is gearing up. And it said he's been selling his plan. Who's he got to sell it to? He's selling it to Rose. He's selling it to, he might be selling it to Tom. He's selling it to Dolan. He's trying to sell this plan. And don't think behind the scenes them agents haven't already talked. These guys are all former agents, man. Don't think they haven't already discussed it. Okay? Where there's smoke, sometimes there's fire. There's a lot of smoke here. I can see Thibodeau might be against it. I can see William West saying, we got to get this guy out of here because Donovan's coming in. He likes Johnny. That's how it works in the NBA, yo. So we're going to see what happens. I'm excited about it. I want to see. I'm trying not to get too excited because it's just a rumor right now. But there's a lot of smoke here. There's a lot of smoke here. So we're going to see what happens. Thibodeau, whatever. I don't want to see the coach get fired after his second year. I'm tired of that. But in this particular case, if we're getting Donovan Mitchell, yeah, let's do this. All right. But we'll see. Today at Philly, at the Garden again. Same crew, same result. Hopefully RJ gets 35. That'd be the highlight of the game today. Let's see if we can do that. It would be nice to see Deuce McBride get more than 2 minutes on the floor, but it seems like Thibodeau is resistant to use Deuce at all. I don't understand why, but everybody's now seeing it. He'd rather suit up himself and play the point guard than put Deuce McBride out there. I don't know why. And the thing is that he touted the fact that Alec has been statistically the best at that position. But you're 10 games under 500. That's the thing that come on, man. And when he said it, they were 8 games under 500. Like, okay, if he's been the best at that position and y'all still suck. And then they were touting Bill Pito that they're 8-8 when Burke starts at point guard. Well, now they're 8-9. Also, they brought out during the course, Mike Breen brought out a very interesting stat. Even when Derrick Rose was there, when Derrick Rose plays, they were 11-15 this year. 11-15. So Derrick Rose is not going to be the savior. Okay? He's just not. And to me, it's omen time when you see him hurt his ankle, then he got to go back again. He's 33. I'm not saying he's through, but I'm telling you, this year is through. This year is through. Okay? And so, 3 more games, and you're going to see some changes. And when you see the changes, and the main change is the point guard. He can try to trap IQ out there and claim he's a point guard. Deuce McBride is waiting there. And when he's ready, when he's playing, if it comes down from upstairs, play this kid, he's going to play him. Okay? So anyway, very interesting times in New York. Always is. Y'all enjoy your weekend. Despite what Thibs is going to do today with the same lineup, the same situation, the same results, enjoy the Knicks game. Shalom.